let's get started with our first news. Earlier today, Ilya went off and released new footage of Arman during their tense run-in at Qatar. As we reported earlier in the video, Arman has been calling out Ilya repeatedly during his post-fight interviews following UFC Qatar. Well, this morning, Ilya finally responded and shared a short clip from their encounter in Qatar. In that video, you can see Ilya lightly slapping Arman, and the moment immediately sparked reactions across social media. In his post, Ilya called out Arman for not saying anything to his face. He wrote that every time they see each other in person, Arman freezes up like a scared duck with no idea what to do. Ilya added that he can handle Arman however he wants, that he fights whoever the UFC chooses, and reminded him that he slapped him and Arman simply laughed. He accused Arman of going around acting like a gangster online while staying quiet in person. Ilya ended his message by saying, "Keep going. You're on the right path, just a few levels below me, kid." It was a bold, sharp response from Ilya, and fans immediately began reacting to the tension. But Arman didn't take long to fire back. Shortly after Ilya's post, Arman wrote his own message on X, pushing back against the claim that he was slapped. He said, "Bro, you touched my neck like we were taking a family photo, and now you're calling it a slap online." According to Arman, the footage speaks for itself. He added that Ilya's insecurities are even clearer than the video and insisted that he doesn't need to act tough for Twitter. Arman emphasized that his work is inside the cage, and if Ilya truly wants to know what a real slap feels like, he would be happy to educate him. He ended with a sharp line, "See you soon, LP." The back and forth between the two continues to escalate, and with both men openly challenging each other, the hype is only getting louder. Fans are now watching closely, waiting for the UFC to decide what happens next in this rivalry. Move on to another news. Today, Ilya sent a sharp message to Arman after posting a video of the two running into each other on X. In the clip, Ilya claimed that Arman freezes up every time they meet in person, describing him as a scared duck with no idea what to do. Ilya said he handles Arman however he wants, reminding him that he fights whoever the UFC puts in front of him. He added that he slapped Arman during their encounter and that Arman simply laughed. Ilya accused him of acting like a gangster online while staying quiet in person, finishing with, "Keep going. You're on the right path. Just a few levels below me, kid." Arman quickly fired back. He said the moment shown in the video was no slap at all, writing, "Bro, you touched my neck like we were taking a family photo, and now you're calling it a slap online." He insisted the clip was clear and that Ilya's insecurities were even clearer. Arman said he doesn't need to act tough for Twitter because his real work is inside the cage. He then delivered a direct challenge, saying that if Ilya wants to know what a real slap feels like, he would be more than happy to educate him. He ended with, "See you soon." Arman later expanded on the situation in an interview, explaining that he never looks for easy fights and is ready to face anyone the UFC puts in front of him. He said the UFC knows he is open to all challengers and that Ilya has been trying to avoid calling his name because he knows who the #1 real fighter is. Arman claimed he is that fighter and emphasized he wants the toughest competition available. When asked whether he would take a title fight as soon as January if the UFC offered it, Arman said absolutely. He explained that he took almost no damage in his recent performance, and with just 1 week of rest before flying to the US for a 2-month camp, he would be more than prepared. He added that he suffered no injuries, thanked God for that, and said he hopes the UFC announces the fight soon. According to Arman, he is ready to face Ilya, whether the bout takes place in Las Vegas or Los Angeles. He said he will take that chance and has more than enough time to get fully ready for the moment. Move on to another news. Sean O'Malley recently gave his own colorful breakdown of how Ian Gary defeated Bilal Muhammad, and he did it in the most Sean-style way possible, blending technical insight with a bit of sarcasm. Sean explained that this was just a quick breakdown, but he made sure to highlight the specific tools Ian used throughout the fight. According to him, Ian relied heavily on 2 techniques that are extremely effective when used correctly: the calf kicks and the oblique-style knee stops. Sean pointed out that Ian executed both of these techniques with precision, patience, and confidence, which allowed him to control the pace of the fight from the outside. Sean joked that before you take out the knees, you actually take out the eye first. He laughed at himself, saying, "Oops," as he referenced the early eye poke incident that disrupted Bilal's vision. From Sean's perspective, once Bilal's vision was compromised even slightly, he couldn't fully anticipate the incoming attacks. That, according to Sean, is where Ian capitalized. With Bilal blinking, adjusting, and trying to regain rhythm, Ian began targeting the legs relentlessly. Each stop kick to the knee created hesitation, and each calf kick forced Bilal to reset his stance. Sean emphasized that once those stops start landing, everything changes in a fight, because a fighter can no longer explode forward with the same confidence. Sean described the sequence like this. First, disrupt the opponent's vision just enough to break their read. Then, chop at the legs until they can't plant or push off properly. And once you hurt them with the stops, you can start mixing attacks at the same time, doubling up on feints, kicks, and long-range strikes. Sean praised Ian for maintaining range, staying composed, and sticking to a disciplined game plan. He pointed out that Ian's ability to control distance was one of the biggest factors in shutting down Bilal's forward pressure, which is usually one of Bilal's greatest strengths. Sean added that these techniques may look simple, but when someone uses them with perfect timing, they can completely shut down a fighter's rhythm, footwork, and explosiveness. To him, Ian's performance was a demonstration of clean striking fundamentals, excellent fight IQ, and the confidence to keep applying the same damaging tools over and over until the opponent starts breaking down. Sean wrapped up by saying Ian used smart tactics, sharp timing, and chose exactly the right weapons to neutralize everything Bilal tried to do. Move on to another news. Robert Whittaker has shared his thoughts on the rise of Paddy Pimblett, and he made it clear that he actually wants to see Paddy fight for the lightweight title in the future. But according to Whittaker, Paddy still needs one more big test before he can get there, and he believes the perfect opponents would be either Max Holloway or Charles Oliveira. Whittaker explained that facing either of those names would push Paddy to the next level and truly prove he belongs in the title picture. He said he'd personally love to see Paddy fight Max because those types of matchups propel a fighter straight toward the belt. Whittaker added that Paddy's growth lately has been exponential. He highlighted that his recent performances show a level of maturity, sharpness, and focus that wasn't always there earlier in his career. Whittaker pointed to Paddy's fight against Tony Ferguson, saying Paddy dismantled him with patience and control. He said the fight before that also showed a more dialed-in version of Paddy, a version who zeroes in on what he needs to do and doesn't get distracted by the moment. Whittaker believes this evolution is what makes Paddy such a compelling contender right now. He also talked about potential matchups, saying that Oliveira versus Paddy would be absolutely crazy, especially because of what would happen on the ground. Whittaker said he'd love to see Paddy versus Oliveira because the grappling exchanges alone would be worth the price of admission. He added that even Paddy versus Holloway would be wild because Max brings an insane pace, durability, and volume, while Paddy thrives when he can create chaos and look for openings during transitions. Whittaker emphasized that any of those fights would be massive for the lightweight division. Still, despite all the excitement around Paddy, Whittaker made one thing very clear. When it comes to the official next step toward the lightweight title, he believes the division already has a must-make matchup. In his words, it has to be Arman versus Ilya. He said that matchup is unavoidable, given the momentum behind both fighters and the level of dominance they've shown recently. Before wrapping up, Whittaker once again mentioned how thrilling a Paddy versus Oliveira matchup would be, especially on the ground, saying, "That'd be so good, right on the ground." For him, Paddy is on the right track, improving fast, and one fight away from proving he truly belongs among the elite. Move on to another news. Ian Garry has explained his side of the heated backstage altercation with Khamzat during UFC Qatar, where cameras caught Khamzat shoving him in a tense moment that quickly spread across social media. At the post-fight press conference, Ian broke down exactly what happened from his perspective and why the whole situation, in his words, felt childish. Ian said he approached both Arman and Khamzat after their fights to show respect. He congratulated Arman first, then walked over to Khamzat, greeting him casually with, "Hey champ, what's up? When are we gonna see you back?" According to Ian, Khamzat responded with, "I don't know, brother, whenever." Smash. Ian thought everything was cool at that point, especially since Khamzat slapped him on the back in a friendly way. But then a security guard stepped between them, which confused Ian because, as he said, "We literally were just cool with each other. He's not going to fight me." Moments later, Ian claims Khamzat's demeanor suddenly shifted. He said Khamzat tried to push him, bringing out what Ian described as that childish energy. Ian turned around and confronted him, saying, "You're meant to be a champion of this sport. You're a child. You're taking away from your friend's win. How about you calm down, slow down, and have a bit of respect for your friend over here, rather than trying to steal the headlines?" Ian called the whole moment little energy, saying it felt like Khamzat was trying to show the world he was tough, even though, in Ian's opinion, he doesn't need to. Ian said a true champion doesn't need to prove toughness backstage, doesn't need to create drama, and doesn't need anger management issues to look strong. He closed his breakdown by saying, "I'll get him one day," making it clear he hasn't forgotten the incident. Later that night, Khamzat also gave his version of the altercation at the post-fight press conference. He accused Ian of touching him from behind in a disrespectful way. Khamzat said, "Don't punch somebody from behind. If you want to show respect, respectfully touch somebody." He claimed Ian approached him specifically to create hype and compared Ian's behavior to trying to be Conor, insisting he would never reach that level. Khamzat dismissed the whole moment as Ian stirring drama for attention. The tension between Ian and Khamzat continues to grow, and with both men offering drastically different stories, the rivalry has only become more intense. Move on to another news. Belal Muhammad has released his first full statement following his loss to Ian Gary, taking to Instagram to share a photo and a message that captured both his disappointment and his determination to bounce back. Belal wrote, "We couldn't get it done. Thank you, Doha, for the memories. Thank you to my team and family and friends that are with me no matter what. And thank you to anyone that's with me. Alhamdulillah for everything. I'm blessed to be here. We have work to do." It was a message that showed humility, gratitude, and the mindset of someone who refuses to let a setback define him. Belal's statement came just hours after UFC Qatar wrapped up, where Ian Gary delivered one of the most disciplined and tactical performances of his career. While the MMA world immediately began breaking down the fight, analyzing the kicks, the range management, and the timing that allowed Ian to control the bout, Belal kept his response focused on accountability and growth. He didn't offer excuses, he didn't shift blame, and he didn't allow frustration to overshadow respect. Instead, he acknowledged the loss head-on and emphasized that the journey continues. In the days leading up to the fight, Belal had spoken confidently about his preparation and the improvements he made during his camp. Fans expected a competitive battle, and despite the outcome, Belal reminded everyone that one fight doesn't erase years of work. His message reflected the mentality that has carried him through setbacks before. A willingness to stay disciplined, stay grounded, and stay committed to getting better. Belal also made it clear that his support system remains one of his biggest strengths. He thanked his coaches, his teammates, and the people in his life who stand with him, regardless of wins or losses. For Belal, those relationships are a major part of why he continues to push forward, even when the path gets difficult. His words, "Alhamdulillah for everything," showed that he remains grateful in victory and in defeat, embracing both as part of the journey. Fans reacted with overwhelming support, flooding his post with comments praising his heart, toughness, and character. Many noted that Belal has bounced back stronger before and expressed confidence that he will do it again. His message, "We have work to do," hinted that he's already mentally preparing for whatever comes next, whether that means rebuilding toward contention or chasing the biggest fights available. Belal may not have walked out of Doha with the result he wanted, but his response showed the mindset of a true competitor, someone who learns, grows, and returns with even more determination. Move on to another news. George St. Pierre has shared some powerful advice for Kamaru Usman, urging him to consider retirement while he is still on top and still in control of his legacy. GSP explained that during UFC New York, he had a conversation with Kamaru about the future, competition, and knowing the right moment to step away. He said he understands exactly what Kamaru is going through, because he lived that same experience and faced those same difficult choices as a champion nearing the end of his career. GSP said that Kamaru, now in his late 30s, told him he planned to go for one more stretch, one more run to see what he could accomplish before closing the door on his MMA career. GSP responded honestly, telling him, "Man, if you want one of my advice, because I like you, do what you need to do. Get it out of your system, but get out on top." He explained that leaving the sport while still respected, still feared, and still competitive is the ultimate cherry on top, not only for pride, but for long-term health and future opportunities. He added that the struggle fighters face comes from ego. GSP admitted he experienced it himself, that feeling of, "I could do one more, maybe another one, maybe I'm still the best." That voice in a fighter's head often pushes them past their peak and into dangerous territory. GSP said staying too long can cost an athlete more than just wins. It can cost them their health, their reputation, and the long-term value of their name. He explained that retiring as a champion opens doors that would never appear for someone who finishes their career on a losing streak. When you step away while still viewed as one of the best, your stock remains incredibly high. Businesses, partnerships, appearances, and major opportunities come your way precisely because you left before the decline. According to GSP, your stock is worth a lot of money when you walk away on top. He also warned about the financial traps fighters fall into. Yes, continuing to fight can bring in more money in the short term, but if a fighter pushes too far and ends up losing 2 or 3 fights in a row, that long-term big picture money, the endorsements, the deals, the lifetime respect, can vanish instantly. GSP said if he had stayed and possibly retired on a 3-fight losing streak, many of the opportunities he enjoys today simply would not exist. His message to Kamaru was clear: protect your health, protect your legacy, and protect the value of your name by knowing when to walk away.